Merry Christmas to the Clemson Tigers. It's a point party in the foothills of South Carolina. For the second time in 3 years, the men's soccer team is bringing the national championship trophy back to Clemson University. And I tell you what, what a tremendous program. You've heard us talk about it. You've heard Griffin talk about it. Griffin can't be here tonight. He's going hard in the paint with final exams. So wish Griffin all the best. But he's our soccer guru, and you've heard him talk about how great this Clemson men's team is. Well, they proved it again last night. Second national championship in 3 years with a 2-1 victory over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some bowl updates as Clemson and Kentucky get set to play in the Gator Bowl down in Jacksonville, Florida, coming up in about 2.5 weeks. Some news on the availability front for some Clemson players that Coach Swinney revealed in his press conference today. So there's a lot to get to on this episode of Around the Paw. We're glad everybody's watching. I'm Garrett Mitchell, Clifton Kennedy, and joining us tonight is our good friend Dustin Black. It's always great to have him on for an episode.
Yep.
And guys, first and foremost, hey, anytime you can bring a national championship back to God's country, well, that's a good day in my book.
Yes, sir. It's always good to bring a Natty back to Clemson. And the soccer team did it. And that game was intense. It was really intense, and it got a little crazy there at the end.
Yeah, for sure. And just a really good coaching job by Mike Newton. I felt like that team, in Clemson style, definitely played their best soccer down the stretch, when it came time to crunch time. So props to them. 2 and 3 years. That's impressive. It's, no matter the sport, really in the upper tier of programs in the country now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I heard a stat. And so their last 17 games, they only lost 1. And in their last 14, they were 14-0.
Yeah, just an incredible run down the stretch and through the tournament. And, I was once I got done with my basketball obligations over at Woodruff High School last night, I went back and I watched some of the extended highlights of that ball game. And, one thing that I could just take away, not even having watched it live, was just how many shots Notre Dame got on goal. I mean, it was just you were sweating bullets the entire time. You were just wondering when one was finally going to hit the back of the net, and it never did. Notre Dame's only goal came on a penalty kick with exactly 1 minute to play. And even then, I mean, look, it's hard to score a goal in 1 minute in soccer when you could just play keep away. But I tell you what, you were sweating it out for that final 60 seconds because, look, ball can get free, somebody can get open, anything can happen. So it was an instant classic and one that Clemson fans really had to bite their nails on all the way into the final horn.
Yeah, there was a bunch of yellow cards too, man. They were yellow card happy in that game, and I don't think I've ever seen as many yellows, but there was a lot in the last couple minutes too. So it was crazy.
Come on, ref, let them play.
Yeah, right. That's
right.
And
to your point, Garrett, like even going back to the semifinal, just the couple moments of brilliance, like the goal that was scored by Sean Smart in the semifinal, just an absolute glorious goal, and then we start off the Natty with Brandon Parrish's strike from outside the box. I mean, it was impressive. I mean, those aren't great chances in soccer. That's just making the best of that moment,
And that was a rocket.
It was.
Both of those goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that goal in the semifinal was a rocket. The one that Parrish shot was a rocket. I mean, you can't talk enough good things about Amon Silla. That cat, and the story behind how he got to Clemson, if it wasn't for COVID, he probably would have gone pro. But because of COVID, he came to Clemson and got a degree, and now he's going pro. I mean, that whole story is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And look, those are two guys that were on the 2021 national championship team. And so when you look at it and you look at how this program has been built back to prominence, you had guys that were on the field last night that played key roles in the 2021 championship. And so you added that experience factor in there for the Tigers. And look, the talent is what it is. It's tremendous talent. But when you couple that with championship level experience, that's a combination that not too many teams could match. And I think ultimately in the end, that's what won out for Clemson.
Yeah, I think that too. And, this team was winning 5 games. I think in 5 games they were 500. And one of the transfers, I heard this last night, just lit into the entire team and was like, I didn't come here to be average. He said, I came here to win a national title. And then they went on that run. I mean, it's crazy, man. And I heard in the press conference today, and I'm pretty sure you did too, Dabo just raved about Mike Noonan and how he sent him a text and said, we're on a race to 3.
Well, it sounds like everybody, starting in September of 2024, sounds like everybody should watch out on Saturdays too.
I mean, that soccer team, it's just getting better, and man, soccer is one of my favorite sports. So it's just great. It's awesome sport. I love it.
Yeah, my only gripe is them playing the finals in Louisville. I don't like that whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I miss Cary, North Carolina. I even rather play like some of these games closer to on campus. I mean, put the semifinal final somewhere close to campus at least. I mean, there was no crowd there. That's my only gripe.
Yeah,
but still an exciting game.
Yeah, I agree.
Great for Clemson, and just another sport where you can say that the program's in the upper tier of the country.
Well, I will say this about the game being in Louisville, and I've been to Louisville on 3 different occasions, and it's a cool city, great people. And I guess when you look at it, and I'm sure it was a predetermined location, so it was happenstance that it worked out this way. But really, geographically, Louisville's probably about as close to midway between Clemson and Notre Dame geographically as you could get.
Yeah. I guess the good thing about this final is I think there were 3 teams in the ACC that were in the College Cup, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? I know there was 2 because they played in the title game, but I guess one good thing is it was coming back to the ACC. But I don't really pull for the ACC. I pull for Clemson. So
yeah, right. Well, look, we're not the SEC. It's not. It just means more. No, we're the Clemson Tigers, and it's the Clemson Tigers against everybody else in the ACC. We're not putting the conference up on a pedestal just because we're in it, right?
Not me.
Oh, no, not at all. Well, congratulations to the men's soccer team. Just a tremendous accomplishment. Look, when you can distinguish yourself as a national champion, do it 2 times in 3 years. We've seen it before with Dabo Swinney and the football team. Now the soccer team and Coach Noonan have done it. And like Dabo Swinney said, it's a race to 3 now. We'll see who can get there first. And we hope it's football just because that's going to be the next one up. But, tremendous accomplishment. Congratulations to all of those guys.
Hey guys, it's Cliff from Around the Paw. Are you going to the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl and still looking for that perfect hotel in Jacksonville, Florida? Well, stay in the heart of Jacksonville, just minutes away from Everbank Stadium at the Hampton Inn Jacksonville South, I-95 at JTB. Book your room now for an unbeatable location. They have comfortable rooms, free hot breakfast, and exceptional service that will make your game day experience unforgettable. Don't wait. Secure your room now at the link in the description and on screen. Don't forget Hampton Inn, Jacksonville South, I-95 at JTB, your home base for game day at the Gator Bowl.
Now, we're going to turn the clock forward just a little bit, and we're getting ever closer to December 29th and kickoff between the Clemson Tigers and the Kentucky Wildcats. And Dabo Swinney held his press conference today, and he discussed a lot of things leading up to the bowl game and preparation and what he and his team are doing to get ready for Kentucky. One big thing that immediately should jump out to everybody that he talked about today, he was asked point blank about running back Will Shipley. Would he play, and what were Shipley's future plans? Dabo said point blank, yes, Will Shipley is practicing. Will Shipley is going to play in the Gator Bowl. Absolutely fantastic news. But Clifton, before we started recording this episode, we were talking and kind of reading between the lines. Dabo didn't really say too much about Shipley's future plans, but if you read between the lines right there, one could potentially glean that some more good news for Tigers fans could be coming.
Yeah, I watched it, and when he was talking about that, you could definitely read between the lines and tell that he's kind of leaning to come back. And I think not just because I'm a Clemson fan, but and we report on Clemson sports, but like I think he's got a little bit more to get better. Like he needs to get better at certain things, and I think this last year he can do it, especially with a new offensive line coach coming in. And yeah, so he also said he didn't want to take Will Shipley's thunder, and he will definitely probably be in front of the press. I'm guessing Thursday, if he wasn't today. I don't think he was today, but he'll probably be in front of the press on Thursday. I'll be there Thursday. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's also a sign, too, of where we're at in college athletics with the whole NIL market and everything. I know that there was a big stories about, the running back market in the NFL as well. So, I mean, if you don't have a first-round grade or second-round grade as a running back, I mean, there's really no incentive to go pro, especially when the NIL, I have no insight on what Will Shipley's NIL, deal is or anything of that nature. But I can imagine it's pretty decent, and he's probably making a pretty good living playing for Clemson football. And so he'll take the extra year, play, improve his game a little bit, and benefits everybody.
Yeah, and guys, some other good news that came out of the press conference today. Wide receiver Antonio Williams is full go. He will play in the bowl game. And for Williams, he qualifies for a medical red shirt. He is only played in 4 games this year. He can play in the bowl game and not affect his medical redshirt status. And so that's an additional bit of good news for the Tigers. And Brandon Spector is also coming back. He'll play and is available for the bowl game. So all of a sudden, a wide receiver room that was down to Tyler Brown and Lord knows what against South Carolina all of a sudden looks to be a little bit more healthy going into this Gator Bowl matchup.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see how healthy. I know they say he's 100%, but he hasn't really been on the field, and so I'm excited to see like how game ready he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and scouting Kentucky a little bit, I actually found out that they were 127th this year in opponent completion percentage, which means like they're giving up 70% completion percentage to their opponents throughout the season. So that usually translates to a lot of soft coverages and probably not too much of a pass rush. So 2 good things for Cade in a bowl game. You want to see him get some confidence, complete some passes, have some time back there. So all good signs for Clemson. And I guess we want to talk about our pass defense as well and the situation that we're in on that side of the ball.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But right now, it sounds like Cade Klubnik and the Clemson receivers are ready to eat. And speaking of being ready to eat, go check out our sponsor, Arden's Burger Grill at 1280 18 Mile Road in Central South Carolina. And it doesn't matter whether or not there's going to be another game day in Death Valley this year or not. You can always go by and see Arden's Burger Grill for their famous double-dipped wings, one of their mouth-watering burgers, sizzling grills, or fantastic Asian food as well. They've got literally anything to cover you for your game day needs. Tell them the crew from Around the Paw sent you. So go check out Arden's Burger Grill at 1280 18 Mile Road in Central South Carolina. Now, Dustin, you hit the nail on the head. Wide receiver room's getting healthy. Will Shipley's playing in the ball game. What's trending the other way is the defensive secondary. You've already got Nate Wiggins, who has said he'll declare for the NFL draft. He's opting out of the bowl game. Then R.J. Mickens is, I believe, not going to play in the bowl game as well. And then Dabo announced today that Sheridan Jones will also be out for the bowl game, as will Jaden Lucas. So all of a sudden, the Clemson defensive secondary, which is really just it's been a boom town of defense for the Tigers this year, is getting a little bit threadbare.
Yeah, obviously you feel really good about the top two, right? You got Shelton Lewis and Avion Terrell as the top two guys that'll run out there, but then behind them,
Khalil Barnes, man.
yeah. You got Khalil Barnes that's going to play some corner. You got Miles Oliver, who we haven't really seen since he's arrived on campus. He was kind of a 3-star guy coming out, bit of a track star, got some speed to him. But then after that, you got walk-on running backs and Hamp Green doing reps at corner in practice. So it's going to be interesting, especially to see what that does to the game plan for Wes Goodwin. Do we see more of a 4-3 look with more linebackers on the field for that, or do we just stick with our nickel defense that we've seen throughout the most of the year?
Is Woodaz going to play safety, or is he going to play linebacker? Who's the safety? Who's going to play safety?
Well, it was
since
Andrew Makuba until he just decided to miraculously and mysteriously transfer.
Well, Jalen Phillips reported today that he was changing his number, which is odd to do that for one game. But that means he's playing. So you have Jalen Phillips. We're still unsure about Mickens, I guess. Kylan Griffin. You still got a bunch of young guys that haven't played yet. Kylan Webb. I think Robert Billings, is he a go for the bowl game, or was he injured? I wasn't sure.
I can't remember.
Haven't heard anything either way on Billings.
Yeah. But that's your safety group right there. Koval's obviously out with his torn ACL.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And it just falls under the mantra of next man up. That's always been what Dabo Swinney preaches. And I try to look at it from the standpoint of the guys that you're going to put out there. Look, they were recruited to Clemson for a reason, and that's because they're good football players. So some of these young guys, we may just see more of them earlier than we thought we would.
Yep. I think we will, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see them, So because you've heard about them in recruiting and you hadn't seen them on the field, and now here in the bowl game, maybe we'll get to see some of the young guys on the field, and I think it's exciting.
Yeah, and when you look up front too, you're going to be missing Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Of course, he's going pro. Has said he'll opt out of the bowl game as well. As will Ruka Rororo. But you've got guys like Peter Woods and TJ Parker who have just been phenomenal this season. DeMonte Capehart has just been so impressive for me, defensive tackle down the stretch. So I still think you've got plenty of juice and plenty of push up front. One I haven't heard too much about is Tyler Davis. I don't know about you guys. Is he planning on playing in the bowl game? Has there been anything that I haven't seen released on that?
I thought I saw a report today. That he is playing.
He is. Okay.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard anything that he was opting out.
Yeah. So Tyler Davis. Yeah. By all accounts, he'll be playing, as is Xavier Thomas. Xavier Thomas, man, look, you play 6 years of college football and you've got one game left, and you know that is a finite number. By God, just you're going to go out there and let it fly one more time.
Oh, and I love his tweet where he said, Clemson's given me so much, and it's my duty to give back to this university, considering how much they've given to me. Yeah,
just a true. When I think of somebody who I would consider a true consummate Clemson Tiger, Xavier Thomas is certainly that, and I think certainly for generations to come will be remembered as such.
Yep, for sure.
So, guys, we've got the bowl game coming up, but when we kind of rub our little crystal ball here and look into the future, there's been some big news on the recruiting front for the Clemson Tigers here in the last couple of days. Clemson picked up another commitment for the class of 2025. Running back Marquise Henderson, depending on the recruiting services you look at, he's either rated as a high 3-star or 4. I think Rivals 247 has him as a 3-star. I would probably beg to disagree with their assessment, because this is a young man I have seen play in person 2 years in a row. Marquise Henderson is him. This is a young man that is dynamic. He is electric, and whether or not he plays running back for Clemson, returns kicks, plays slot receiver, he lists himself as an athlete on his Twitter profile. This is a nice get for Clemson, and especially because South Carolina did not offer him, and he's the number 2 ranked recruit in the entire state of South Carolina for the class of 2025.
Yeah, and they didn't offer him because they told him that he needed to gain about 10 to 15 pounds. That's a stupid reason to. I don't know. That's just stupid.
Yeah, well, for me,
Coots are
me, it's
gonna
a no.
coot, man.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer when you lay it out. I mean, he is the most explosive football player in the state of South Carolina. He's the most explosive football player in the state, and that's what we lack is explosive playmakers. So when you put it in those terms, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And I don't rely on recruiting rankings too much. I watch the film, and if you turn the guy's huddle on, I mean, he's legit. He is like 60-yard touchdown, 70-yard touchdown, 80-yard touchdown. It's just one after another, where he's just running away from everybody who you put on the field with him.
Yeah, look, I'm from Woodruff, South Carolina. We are a football town. We have 10 state championships hanging on our field house wall. We take football seriously. Now, we have played Belton Honeypath, Marquise Henderson School, the last 3 seasons. He had a little bit of a smaller role in 2022 when we played him as a sophomore. He still rushed for over 100 yards. This past season, we played Belton Honeypath. I think it was the 4th game of the year. Marquise Henderson had 16 carries for 301 yards and 4 touchdowns. I know all about how good Marquise Henderson is. I have seen it up close in person. So anybody who's watching this who doubts how good Marquise Henderson is, if you don't listen to anybody else, listen to me. This kid is a big get for Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers. They will find somewhere for him to be on the field, and I can promise you by the time his Clemson career is done, you will know and everybody will know who Marquise Henderson is.
Yeah,
and those are the guys that really fits Riley's scheme. Like if you look at his personnel at TCU, he had 2 speed guys, Darius Davis and Tay Barber, that were little guys, but they you get them the ball in space and find creative ways to get the ball in their hands, and they made stuff happen. So he's the one, that wants these guys in his offense, and it's what we lack.
Well, Clifton, it was when you first told me that South Carolina had not offered him because they wanted him to gain weight. The first thing that popped into my head was, well, my God, he's 5'10", 175 pounds, and he probably runs closer to a 4.3 40. He's got breakaway speed and impeccable vision. Why in all of holy creation would South Carolina – as a predication to an offer, want him to do something that is going to diminish the one attribute that makes him the most valuable, and that's his speed. It didn't make sense to me. But you know what? I'm glad he decided not to go. I'm glad he decided not to go on a buffet bender and take him up on that offer. Glad to have Marquise Henderson, no doubt about it.
Well, anything South Carolina does just baffles me. So,
well, yeah, that's they had their little run. I guess it's just a horribly bad, distant memory now. They won a couple games in a row. I don't know how many.
Yeah,
think about that, but. It's almost like we let them have their fun for a little while, and now we just come back every year and just beat them down for the comedic value on and off the field because we just stole the number 1 recruit in the state of South Carolina for the class of 25 right out from under them too, and we talked about that on last week's episode. But Mari Adams, 4-star defensive tackle. 100% crystal ball to South Carolina 48 hours before he commits, and then he commits to Clemson. Either you're a Jerry Reed fan and you're hot, when you're hot, you're hot, or you're a South Carolina fan and you just close your eyes and wonder when it's all going to end.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
So, but hey, you know what? Merry Christmas, though, to the Clemson Tigers. And certainly it's a great time of the year. Celebrating a national championship now. We're getting ready for a big bowl game. We're going to get to see some longtime Tigers in their final game, some new faces ready to make their mark, and then some new additions coming soon to Tiger Town who have made their pledge to Dabo Swinney and company. So as we get ready to come down the final home stretch of this holiday and Christmas season, guys, there really is a lot to be excited about in Tiger Town, and really is a great time to be a Clemson Tiger.
Yeah, it really is. And don't forget, the basketball team's undefeated too. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they just go up to Canada, and we probably do need to dedicate an entire episode to talking about the basketball team, and we'll talk more about them for sure next week on next week's episode. But give them a shout. Let's give them a shout out too. They went up to the Hall of Fame series game up in Canada, Toronto, and they took on the TCU Horned Frogs, who, by the way, were also undefeated and
really good. Really good.
And walked away in the second half and defeated them 74-66. And so this is a level of success, guys, that Clemson basketball hasn't seen in quite some time.
I mean, the last time they were undefeated, they were like 16-0 or something like that. And it was like 2008 or 2009 season. I can't remember exactly. I saw something that it was that long ago, and that's just crazy to me. But go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's just a smart veteran basketball team. And those are the teams that do well in the tournament at the end of the year. But, I feel like last year we really lacked a really good shooter, and we got that in Gerard for sure. You got Hemingway, who's still injured. He could provide a little bit off the bench as a shooter as well. And then you got Jack Clark, who we haven't seen yet because he's injured. So this basketball team still has some pieces to add going forward. So it's definitely exciting, man.
Yeah, then you've got the senior leader, PJ Hall, in the middle. PJ's my guy, man. I call a lot of games for Dorman High School. PJ's alma mater. I watched that kid grow up and blossom into the great young man and player that he is. And, our very own Griffin, so he couldn't be on the episode tonight, but Griffin just did a great story about PJ Hall, in which PJ talks about his journey through life in basketball. That's on our website, clemsonsportsmedia.com. So highly, highly recommend you go check that story out by Griffin Barfield about PJ Hall. You'll be glad you did. But PJ's just another one of the anchors of this team. And Dustin, you said it. It's a complete squad. They have a little bit of everything from shooters to defenders to veteran presence and leadership. And I agree. It's the makings of a team that come March could go a long way in the tournament. We've seen it before, and I think this team has the mental and capabilities to do it.
Yeah, just got to get through Just got to get through ACC play, which is always a gauntlet. But I like the makings of this team, and I think that they could definitely make a run if they stay healthy, like we talked about.
Yeah, their next game I think is against Memphis, and I mean when you say Memphis in basketball, I mean that always means something because they've always been good. So, I think the non-conference for Clemson this year has been bar none. I mean, I think they played some of the best teams in the nation, and it's going at the end of the season, it's going to do them good, I think, because we've won all of them. So,
yeah, no doubt about it. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure this evening, and everybody that's watching or listening, hope you've enjoyed this episode of Around the Paw. And we'll be right back at you next week as we close in on Christmas. We hope everybody's staying good out there. We want you on Santa's nice list, not the naughty list, because when you wake up on Christmas morning, we want you to have lots of tiger paws under your tree and not a bag of coal or a bag of switches. So be good out there in Tiger Town. And it is a great day to be a Clemson Tiger. And for our crew here at Around the Paw, Garrett Mitchell, Clifton Kennedy, Griffin Barfield, who couldn't be here tonight, but is he's buckling down on those final exams. Wish him all the best. And Dustin Black, man, Dustin, we appreciate you stepping in tonight. Always clutch, always a pleasure. But until next time, we'll see everybody out there. It's a great day to be a Clemson Tiger. And as always, God bless and go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.